almost as inevitable as the Kansas City Chiefs. 5 times in the last 6 seasons, the Green Bay Packers find their way into the playoffs. It's weird to think back to week 1 when their quarterback Jordan Love had an MCL injury and all the uncertainty that came out of that about where this team was headed. But hey, 3 teams in the NFC North, America's division, is what we call it here in Chicago. Not the Bears, though.
So
that
spoiled.
Is the team.
Courtney,
that is one of 3 teams now in the playoffs.
They've gone Favre, Rodgers, and now we were all thinking, Jordan Love, no, Jordan Love's really darn good, too. It's so unfair that Packer fans have had 3 decades of great quarterback play.
It's Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and over on ESPNU. No Evan, Canty, and Michelle this week, but you've got Courtney Cronin and Aaron Goldhammer keeping you company on this Christmas Eve. I think the most impressive part to me about the game last night against the New Orleans Saints was the blowout nature of it. Like, that's the first shutout that we've seen of the 2024 season. That was something that kind of blew my mind. I've covered a lot of Bears games this year where it's come close to that, or at least it has appeared that way for a good portion of the game. But literally nothing in question here, and I guess a good tune-up for a Green Bay team that's set right now in the NFL postseason picture to have to go on the road to play the Los Angeles Rams in the first round of the playoffs. 3 teams from this division, with the Detroit Lions currently holding that 1 seed, the 5th seed going to the Minnesota Vikings, and the 6th seed belonging currently to the Green Bay Packers. Let's welcome in ESPN senior NFL insider and host of the Adam Schefter podcast, our good friend Adam Schefter, to talk about this a little bit further. The inevitability factor here is kind of how I feel about what Matt LaFleur has done in Green Bay with a new quarterback, or at least, the last couple of years going from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love to now having the playoffs locked up 5 of the last 6 seasons. How is this viewed around the league, Adam, just the sustainability factor that they've got going on in Green Bay?
Well, they are very consistent, Courtney, and happy holidays to you and to Aaron. And the Packers have just continued to impress and continue to win and continue to do things, and I think that they feel like this is the best opportunity they've had in a while. I know they were playing well last year, and they really had a chance to beat the Niners last year in the postseason, didn't take advantage of it, and I think that kind of stayed with them all off season and propelled them into this year, and now they get the opportunity to see if they could improve upon what they did last year. I don't think this team fears going on the road. We saw it go on the road in the playoffs last year. It won in Dallas. It should have won in San Francisco. And now it's going to have to go win on the road again, but I think they're that much experience for it and that much more dangerous.
Shefty, you talk about going on the road. Is there ever conversation amongst the owners at these league meetings about the possibility of letting wildcard teams host home games, especially when the record of the wildcard team is so much better than the record of the division winner they're facing?
Aaron, I've covered the NFL for 35 years. I've heard this question come up. At times like this, I've never heard any momentum whatsoever for there to be a change, ever. The league owners believe that division winners should be rewarded, period. And I don't see the day when that changes. Maybe there's a way to tweak the system, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I haven't heard about it. Again, I'm always surprised at things that happen, but in 35 years, I've heard the question that you've asked numerous times. I've never heard any momentum for it being changed.
ESPN senior NFL insider Adam Schefter joining us here on Unsportsmanlike. Let's look at the other side of the game last night. Darren Rizzi now 3-3 as the interim head coach of the New Orleans Saints. What does his future hold in terms of being in the mix for various jobs in the head coaching openings that are current and the ones that we expect to happen the Monday or become available at least the Monday after the season ends?
Well, I think he'll get some consideration in New Orleans, but again, they're 3-3. They've played well. It's been admirable, but I do think that organization will wind up interviewing a plethora of candidates, and I do think that there'll probably be a new face there in all probability. I just think they're looking, they're going to get through shopping. They're not going to stick with the sweater they've been wearing. They're going to go buy a new sweater is my expectation. And a lot of people have talked about Aaron Glenn, who's got close ties to that organization. People have brought up Mike Vrabel there, who I could see being in the mix. There'll be other people in the mix as well. And, again, that's going to be the big job of this organization to go find somebody to lead it forward. Had a great leader in Sean Payton. It didn't work out the way they wanted with Dennis Allen, and now it's going to be up to them to go find somebody to replace them.
Adam, what's the current coaching situation, whether a guy stays or goes, that you think is most up in the air right now?
Well, it's a hard question to answer because inevitably what happens is the final 2 weeks play into that, the week that we just had and the last 2 weeks. So
sure,
there may be a coach that people expected to be safe, and all of a sudden he bows out. Or how about Mike McCarthy? Everybody was talking about him getting fired when they were 3-7. Now they won 4 or 5. We got Jerry Jones loving him up, players supporting him. All of a sudden there's momentum going that way. And that's what happens at times like this. Owners have an idea of what they want to do, and sometimes those feelings shift in the final weeks of the season. You know, when you show up to a stadium in the last couple of weeks and the stadium's half empty and the fans are booing, there's a lasting final message that fans get to send to owners. And that's what occurs here. So I think it's hard to answer, like, who's on the fence and what could change. Like, everybody is open to scrutiny, and futures change in the final couple of weeks all the time. I mean, look, we've got 3 openings already, right? Everybody's waiting to see about Dallas as potential 4th. I think there's questions about what happens in Las Vegas with the head coach, with the GM. We don't know what Mark Davis is thinking right now. Jacksonville's up in the air. You know, there are obvious places. Everybody's talking about the Giants. The owners keep saying that they're safe. They're not doing anything. So I do think in the end, we'll get, I've said 7 to 9. I'll stick to 7. 7 somehow. There'll be 7 changes in the end, is my guess.
And that sort of feels kind of like league average that we see every year
exactly.
following the season, usually that Monday after the regular season ends. Adam Schefter joining us here on Unsportsmanlike. So it's been just under a week since Atlanta made the quarterback switch official, going from Kirk Cousins to Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. wins in his debut. This is a team that's currently in the 4 seed in the NFC playoff picture. We know that March 17th date is going to be here before we know it. That's when the roster bonus is due for Kirk Cousins, and it feels very inevitable and likely at this point that he's not on the roster for the Falcons next year. Like, how do teams elsewhere go about it? Like, can the Russell Wilson model be how teams follow adding a quarterback that still has a lot of money guaranteed on his contract, which Atlanta would be on the hook for, and does he take that veteran minimum deal? Like, who would make sense to bring Cousins on after we've seen kind of how this season fell apart for the quarterback?
Well, let me address the first part of that, right? Like, the Falcons say they haven't made any decisions about Kirk Cousins. Of course not. You know, you wouldn't expect that to be the case. When you talk to other people in the league, there's nobody that thinks they're going to keep him. Nobody that thinks they're going to keep him for $10 million. And so where does he go? Well, according to you just looking around the league, there are, by my count, at least 7 teams that have obvious quarterback questions. The Jets, the Giants, the Raiders, the Browns, the Steelers with their free agent situation. There's 2 more I'm forgetting. Doesn't really matter, but there's 7. There are 2 quarterbacks the teams believe will be top picks, Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. There's a couple of free agent quarterbacks that you could look at and say, okay, we'd like to sign them. Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones. Bottom line is there's 7 teams with obvious quarterback needs. There just aren't enough quarterbacks to go around for all the teams with needs. So, you know, it's a case where I think there'll be a spot for Kirk Cousins, absolutely, if he decides he wants to play, which I would think he will, but that's up to him. And I don't know where that'll be right now, but there'll be a spot for Tennessee's another one, by the way.
Adam Schefter, I get to be the second Aaron to wish you a happy birthday over the course of the last 24 hours. Aaron Rodgers did it with Pat McAfee yesterday. And then he also talked about his future. Adam, how does he factor into the quarterback mix? Do you think most likely for him retirement, the Jets, or is somewhere else even on the bingo card for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, first of all, I would never try to predict the future of somebody who has a documentary about their life called Ending, though. So that's the first thing, okay? Like, to try to predict the future about a guy whose own documentary is ending, no chance. But I would say this. He's played well enough to continue on as a Jets quarterback if that's what he wanted and the new management and coaching staff there wanted. He has played well down the stretch. Whether he's going to decide that he wants to play or not, that's up to him. We'll see. Like, I sometimes wonder, somebody that has that many ideas, that's so open-minded, is he going to want to play football at the age of 41? And he can't answer that question right now. Like, I don't know if that's what he's going to do. Then again, he probably loves the feelings that come along with that and all the attention and everything like that. So there's a lot of different ways he could go. I think he's played well enough to get one of these jobs if that's what he so desires. But I think the first step in that whole process is him figuring out what he wants to do.
Adam, we'll get you out of here on this. Someone who's been playing among the best quarterback play we've seen in the NFL is who you mentioned, Sam Darnold. And the Vikings have a decision they've got to make this offseason. Do they franchise him? Do they pay him on a short-term contract? Do they let him walk in free agency? Like, bottom line, what can Sam Darnold command as arguably the best quarterback that's going to be available come March?
More important than what he can command, Courtney, is the commitment. Forget the money. It's going to be about the commitment that he can command. Is a team going to commit its starting job to him and turn that over to him? So I think that's the most important thing, because there'll be money wherever he decides to go. But I don't think that that's what's going to drive him. Somebody that's bounced around the league, I think he's going to want to hear from somebody that they are turning over their job to him and giving him the keys to the car and saying, your car. Whether that price is $25 million, $30 million, $40 million, we'll see. I don't know where that's going to come in. But I do know that Sam Darnold is going to have a bevy of options, more than people realize. And there are going to be some intriguing scenarios that he's going to have to choose from.
Yeah, one of those intriguing scenarios could end up being him staying in Minnesota. However, they would be to make that happen. Adam, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Shefty.
Happy holidays, guys. Thank you very much.
That's ESPN senior NFL insider and host of the Adam Schefter podcast. Our good friend Adam Schefter, kind enough to take a couple minutes with us on this Christmas Eve morning on Unsportsmanlike. The Darnold conversation's interesting. That's where I want to go next here on ESPN Radio and ESPNU. The best option for the Minnesota Vikings, is it keeping Darnold in the fold as J.J. McCarthy gets up to speed coming off the year of a knee injury, or is it signing him to what Adam was alluding to, which could be that deal that secures him to a franchise for the next couple of years? It's Unsportsmanlike, ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Unsportsmanlike. I don't understand some of these activities as well, like bungee jumping.
I would never.
Skydiving.
I'm not bungee jumping.
What's it, freebasing? Is that what it's called? With like your
freebasing is drugs.
That's drugs, Evan.
Wow. Wouldn't do that either. Well, I'm over.
Freebasing.
Don't do drugs, kids.
More from Unsportsmanlike coming up next.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
you. Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text BIKE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text BIKE to 321-321. That's BIKE to 321-321.
So when was the last time you saw a best deal guarantee?
You mean a promise that actually held up?
Right.
That some unknown online entity didn't want you to log in and download a code and then re-verify as you join some club.
Drives you nuts, I know.
And then once you purchase that set of steak knives...
Well, Dick Van Dyke Appliance World is a lot simpler. You find a verified great deal and they beat it. Just show them the deal you saw. A newspaper clipping or the online cart price will do, and then you're good.
At Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, it's one of those instances where you see a best deal guarantee and...
you get the best deal.
This is Dennis Reekin, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. Our exclusive 10-year protection plan comes free with most appliance purchases. Whether it's a GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, Bosch, or any of our 30 brands, I guarantee we will beat any competitor's deal. Wow!
Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Got a plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, or sewer problem? Look no further than Fred's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electric. Locally owned and trusted, Fred's team of professionals is ready to tackle projects both big and small. Why waste time and money on complicated DIY fixes? Fred's experienced team will get the job done right, saving you time, stress, and cash. And when it comes to sewer problems, make sure you call Fred's for a second opinion you can trust. At Fred's, they do it all. No project too big, no project too small. They do insulation, repairs, replacement, and maintenance. And they now offer service agreements. For reliable service, professional expertise, and solutions that work, call Fred's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electric today, 217-586-3863, or go to fredscu.com. You can always trust Fred's.
Switching is easy. We do it all the time. We switch on the lights. We switch TV channels. Some of us switch partners while square dancing. Well, that's a stretch. But what's not a stretch is how you can switch and save with State Farm. In fact, State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow right here in Champaign-Urbana can switch you over so you can start saving today. Kurt and his team are ready to welcome you to the State Farm neighborhood. It's easy to switch and save. Just give them a call when you want the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Illinois basketball star Merez Johnson on needing some help from Sarah Champagne and Ben Quattrone.
I was going back home for a weekend and I was going to be downtown. I text Ben, can I get a different car, go to Chicago? And I got something small, a nice Buick, something that was nice. I got my car back when I came. It was quick. Ben and Sarah Champagne took care of me.
And Sarah Champagne would do that for you too. Learn more at sarahchampagne.com. That's SERRA champagne.com.
Thank you for choosing 2 Men in a Truck. How may I help you?
Hi, I have a strange question. I need help getting my holiday decorations from storage, and then I need to rearrange my furniture for our upcoming parties. Can you guys do that?
Oh, that's not strange at all. 2 Men in a Truck has completed over 10 million moves. We can deliver your decorations right to your doorstep. And of course, our moving experts can help rearrange your furniture for your holiday gatherings.
Not sure how your move is going to work? Go to 2meninatruck.com for your free estimate.
Springfield Avenue is now open. Yes, Springfield Avenue is now open. So from Kenwood to Duncan, you can visit El Toro easily, and it's open. Your favorite Mexican restaurant is open once again. After 4 months of construction, come and see the good people at El Toro on West Springfield. They've got your favorite Mexican dish, and they're open 7 days a week. Springfield Avenue is open. Enjoy El Toro Restaurant right on Springfield near Kaufman Lake, and enjoy your favorite Mexican restaurant. El Toro on West Springfield in Champaign.
In which they could choose to handle this. One being the franchise tag. It's, I don't want to say simplest, but simplest in terms of like the business. You place a tag on the player, exclusive tag. You can't go anywhere else. You can sign him to a long-term deal after that. I don't know whether Sam Darnold would want that. Obviously, this is probably his next chance, maybe his last chance to go make a big contract. I don't know if he'd want to leave Minnesota. Like if you're Sam Darnold, not like take the Vikings outside of this. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go somewhere else where it may feel like you're back to the Carolina version of yourself or the Jets version of yourself or anywhere else he's bounced around in the league? Or when you find the right situation, don't you want to stay there no matter what the stakes are in doing that?
I mean, I think there will be money for him to make, like Shefty pointed out. I think this is a unique situation for a couple reasons. We've seen quarterbacks have hot years, Courtney, but not win 13 games, go 13-2, and potentially have the number one seed in the. You know what I mean? Like we've seen quarterbacks get hot and go 10-7, like Daniel Jones did. This is on a whole nother level. He is legitimately, in my mind, part of the MVP conversation. He's not going to win it, but he deserves to be on people's ballots, right, as the MVP of the league. If I'm the Vikings, I don't want him going anywhere. If I'm Sam Darnold, I definitely don't want to go anywhere because I've obviously found a coach, a receiver, a great situation that can maximize my strengths in a city that believes in me. And we know this psychology has been important to Sam Darnold throughout his career, going all the way back to when Jets fans were against him when he was in New York. So I think it's important for both the Vikings and Darnold for him to stay in Minnesota. To me, that also means, Courtney, that the Vikings need to find a new home for J.J. McCarthy. That might be hard. Yeah, I do.
You think that they should trade him,
I do.
Knowing that they prioritize, especially what happened last year with Kirk Cousins and the injury to him, to Justin Jefferson, and said, okay, we're out from under this contract finally. Let's go get our franchise guy.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold could get you probably another couple years. He doesn't provide the potential long-term investment that J.J. McCarthy would. Yeah, but what is he, 27, 28, somewhere in that range?
Right, he was in the 2018 draft class, so he's still shy of 30. Like, Sam Darnold could be your quarterback for the next decade.
But what about the prospect of winning on a rookie contract, winning with a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract? You think they punt on that and not just keep both guys in place, one for Sam Darnold to continue on the path that he's on until McCarthy's ready? You think that they just say, we have chosen our guy because we saw it in a year that got us to the playoffs?
13-2. And he's not going to require $60 million. Like, I think that he would accept a contract similar to the one that Baker Mayfield got.
The $100 million.
Yeah, and then that would allow you to keep Justin Jefferson and to keep building your defense. And I don't know if Brian Flores is going to get a job anywhere, but I think he probably is the assistant coach of the year, in my opinion, in the NFL for what he's done on the Minnesota Vikings defense. And then the other thing you got to think about there, Courtney, is you trade J.J. McCarthy. I think you could get a first-round pick for him. I do. He is not played a down of NFL football. I don't know the medicals, and obviously that's really important here to see where he's at in his recovery from this injury. But let's say one of these 7 quarterback-needy teams would be willing to offer you a top 10 pick in this draft. Okay, you don't have the rookie quarterback, but maybe you get the rookie franchise pass rusher or the rookie franchise left tackle that you could go ahead and take advantage of. That's how I would play this situation if I was Minnesota. I don't want to keep both QBs because I think it just creates potential nightmare scenario for Darnold. If he struggles and McCarthy's healthy, then everybody in Minnesota all of a sudden after 1 week is going to be calling, Paul Allen's show on KFAN, screaming and yelling, saying you got to put McCarthy in there. I don't like that dynamic for Minnesota. I like sticking with Darnold, who's been awesome this year, has 30-plus touchdown passes, allow him to make a career there, buy a house there, and then I trade J.J. McCarthy to – I think there's a team that has a top 10 pick in the draft that would be willing to give up that pick for J.J. If he was in this draft, I think J.J. McCarthy might be the number 1 pick in the draft. So when I think about it that way – it's like almost putting J.J. McCarthy into this draft class again.
I get it. I get the logic, and it is something for. I mean, he is going to be the biggest name coming up towards free agency once the NFL season ends and once we hit March 2025. Whether he stays with the Vikings, whether he goes somewhere else, there will be a market. What exactly is that market? We were just talking with Adam Schefter about it. He was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday and had this to say about the potential earnings and who might be interested in Sam Darnold.
You just look at the quarterback market this offseason. I can count right now, minimum of 7 teams that are going to need a new quarterback for next year. 7. There are, in this upcoming draft, 2 quarterbacks that I think teams feel very strongly about in Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. 2 of those quarterbacks will go to 2 of those teams. That leaves us with 5 teams with major quarterback questions. There aren't enough quarterbacks to satisfy all the teams that have a quarterback need.
So much money. Sam Darnold's going to get so much money.
Which is why that plays right into Sam's bargaining power. And so the question becomes is how much will he command on the open market? What will
50.
some team be willing to commit to him? And then Minnesota has to make a decision. Okay, well, do we want to go commit to this guy? I think there's going to be some, let me say this. I think there's going to be some intriguing scenarios out there for Sam Darnold.
That was Adam Schefter yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. He joined us a little bit ago and talked through those similar scenarios. He will be the belle of the ball, if you want to call it that. But that made me think, would you be willing to pay him what Pat McAfee kind of interjected there, $50, $60 million?
No.
The Brock Purdy market, that seems to have fizzled, but the idea out there that there will be somebody to reset it. Does Darnold get anywhere close there, knowing that he will be the best potentially available quarterback in free agency?
Court, would you rather I'm curious your read on, would you rather have Darnold or Purdy? When something visually shows me, hey, this works. Yeah.
I stick with that.
Yeah.
And, I think back, the Vikings have been in a similar situation before. It was my first year on the beat when Case Keenum led them to 11 wins. And granted, he was a backup quarterback who was being paid about $1 million to be Sam Bradford's backup, who then gets hurt in the first game, and Keenum takes him all the way to the NFC Championship.
Sure.
That always had a feel that that was going to end at some point, that the magic was going to run out there. And
but
of
that
course,
team wasn't 13-2. You know what I mean? That team didn't have the best record, in the NFC.
That's correct. They were a 13-3 team that season, and he won them 11 games. But you just, to your point, I get it. You could tell where the ceiling was here. I wonder if there is even more to Sam Darnold than what we've seen. I mean, he threw 3 touchdowns this past week, 246 yards. The turnovers have not been an issue for him. He really cleaned that part up of his game up since that Jacksonville game where they win a game by not even scoring a touchdown. I remember that was right before the Vikings came to Chicago, and I was doing countdown for that game and just talking with Brian O'Neill, his right tackle, about what's changed with him. What do you think is putting him in a position where he's playing more comfortable? And he kept talking about Kevin O'Connell and the fit there and finding the right coaching and having somebody who not only believes in you, but is willing to build something for you, not just for the short term, but build it for the future. I mean, heck, why do you think Daniel Jones wanted to go to Minnesota? I know he's riding the bench now, and he's really there for insurance purposes and probably just to keep his mind fresh.
Sure.
Keeping your mind fresh with somebody like Kevin O'Connell helps you for your next step. Whether Sam Darnold's next step is in Minnesota or somewhere else, certainly Daniel Jones will be somewhere else, but you can see that the coaching really matters.
Right.
And for quarterbacks, it's not always about the payday. It's about what's around you, the supporting cast, and where your best fit is. But it's a fascinating conversation considering what the stakes are for the Vikings with this decision being the one that's going to kick off free agency in earnest in just about 3.5 months. And Sportsmanlike is presented by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance, and cover your furry friends with pet health insurance. All right, straight ahead here on Unsportsmanlike. Have they been naughty or have they been nice? We give you our list here on a Christmas Eve Tuesday. Courtney Cronin, Aaron Goldhammer in for the guys on Unsportsmanlike, ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio. 25 bowl games, including the college football playoff and national championship game.
The electricity, the atmosphere.
Coverage continues tonight with the Hawaii Bowl at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
Hey, fans! Welcome back to Fansville's Cheers and Tears. Oh. Okay, so everybody deals with losing, right? To a rival on a last-second field goal. Whatever, it's fine. I'm totally fine. But I cope with losing with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Those 23 flavors are so delicious. They totally wash away the pain of your college football team taking a big fat L. College football. It's a pepper thing.
Lowe's knows how to help you save time and money, no matter the job.
That's why we can deliver supplies to your job site as soon as same day, so you have more time to get the job done. Because when you need it fast, we've got you covered. Lowe's knows pros. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Good morning, First Federal Savings Bank. How may I direct your call?
Speak with friendly, real people during lobby hours. It matters when you call First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana. A real person located at the bank. Not a recording answers your call during lobby hours. Personal, friendly service makes a difference. 217-356-BANK.
Thank you for calling. Have a great day.
Rated 5-star superior by Bauer Financial, Inc. Fast, friendly, and local with local loan decisions and underwriting. If you're not already banking with us, give us a try. We think you'll love it here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. NMLS 435120.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
Attention drivers. When it comes to your car, trust matters. That's why savvy drivers choose PDR Automotive for top-notch service and unbeatable quality. From routine maintenance to complex repairs, their team of expert technicians has the skill and experience to keep your vehicle running smoothly. At PDR Automotive, customer satisfaction is their priority, and they won't rest until your car is back on the road performing at its best. Visit PDR Automotive in Urbana today, family-owned and operated for more than 50 years. They're what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Are you tired of shivering in the winter? Look no further than your local heroes at ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. Hi, this is Gina inviting you to give us a call at 217-352-5400 to book your appointment to make sure your furnaces run safely and efficiently this winter. We've been proudly locally owned and operated and have been serving our community for over 50 years. ABC, always be comfortable. Call me 217-352-5400 to book your appointment today or go to abcheatingandac.com.
When you're looking for your next vehicle, be sure to stop at Sarah Champagne and listen to Merez.
Hi, I'm Merez Johnson Jr., power forward for the University of Illinois basketball team. The only place you should shop for your next vehicle is Sarah Champagne, home of Honda, BMW, Buick GMC, and Subaru. Why? Because they treat you like family every time. Take it from me, Merez Johnson Jr. Sarah Champagne will be the last dealership you will ever work with.
Learn more at sarahchampagne.com. That's SERRA champagne.com.
US Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 888-665-0696 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check as easy as... That's 888-665-0696.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
No matter where you are, you can always listen to Unsportsmanlike on the ESPN app or Sirius XM Channel 80. And if you missed any of the show today, you're in luck because we've got the Unsportsmanlike podcast available daily wherever you get your podcast. A snowy morning at the seaport in New York. It's not snowing here where I'm at in Chicago. Do not believe that's the case where Aaron Goldhammer is as well in Cleveland.
It's December in Cleveland.
Good.
It's always snowing.
I mean, well,
in
it's
Cleveland.
always
What
cold.
do you mean?
It's always cold.
It was like icing yesterday, which to me is much worse than snow. I'm at the point also, too. I'd rather it snow than rain. Yeah, pick one or the
give
other.
Me the snow than the rain.
Yeah.
Make sure I made that clear. I don't want to be one of these crazy people out there on skates. Aaron Goldhammer, Courtney Cronin here on Unsportsmanlike. This show is always presented by Progressive Insurance, and because it's holiday radio season, that's why you have the two of us here. We're really good at these segments when we try to tie in sports to Christmas, to Hanukkah, to the New Year, resolutions, whatever it is. So I think it's time for us to break out our naughty and nice list. We'll give you two athletes who've been naughty this year, maybe teams, maybe, anything that falls in that category, and the ones who have been nice, the ones who are getting coal in their stocking tomorrow versus the ones who are getting an AP watch, which, I'm just throwing that out there. If anybody wants to buy me one of those, that's number one on my list this year. Aaron, let's do this how we do on Sunday mornings when Peter Burns and I host Best Week Ever. We start with the worst first when we give out best and worst of the week.
Okay. Your
naughty list. You've got two people, teams, whoever you want. You can throw on that list. Go and give me your first two.
Well, number one, Courtney got ejected from a game last night for being obnoxious because he always is.
Just being a straight-up menace.
Joel Embiid, I mean, you could literally write anything about him now, and I might believe it. He has gone after reporters in the Sixers locker room. He's gotten technicals while sitting on the bench. He's gotten embroiled in scandals. He's done just about everything except for put up MVP numbers, which is the only thing the Sixers, who are a mess, really need him to do. I think he's had a disastrous year, Courtney. He played on the Olympic team, but he wasn't the reason they won the gold medal. I don't know that he even really deserves the gold medal hanging around his neck. And then they're supposed to be a championship contender, and they're 7-8 games under 500 and trying to sneak into the play-in in the Eastern Conference. My first naughty guy in sports right now is Joel Embiid. He has made me one of my favorite teams in all of basketball is who's ever playing the Sixers on any given night. Courtney, who you got first up on the naughty list over on your side?
Well, I want to read this first because I found this tweet today, and this is the calamity that the 76ers have dealt with. Embiid is in a lot of these. So this is how their 2024 season is played out, of course, with all of the hype going from the offseason. The Embiid knee swelling, Paul George hyperextension, the Embiid suspension, the Maxey hamstring injury, Paul George hyperextending his knee again, Joel Embiid knee maintenance, Joel Embiid breaking his face, the Caleb Martin shoulder injury, and of course the Jared McCann torn meniscus too. Then there's like 55 games left, and all of that's already happened in the first 2 months of the season. That's great. My naughty, I have two. My first one's the New York Giants. And really, it's Joe Shane, because they didn't have to air their dirty laundry the way that they did on Hard Knocks and let you into the process, a very flawed process, mind you, with how they let Saquon Barkley out of their building, with how they decided to pay Daniel Jones and then not have money for the franchise player, the face of the franchise, and then going to watch him be 268 yards away from the single-season rushing record, which he's probably going to hit regardless of what happens here down the stretch for the Eagles. But goodness, what a... It's not even like naughty in the sense that like he's been bad. It's just like flat out like ineptitude, I think, that falls into that category for me.
No question. That's a good one. You want me to give my second one, or you want to give... Okay. Well, my second one here... I could give it to anybody, frankly, who's on the Cleveland Browns or involved in the team, which is the team that I cover most closely. I'm going to give it to the coach of your favorite college football team, though.
Okay.
Courtney,
and he deserves it.
Like, Kirk Cignetti had a great season in Indiana. They went 11-1. But when you beat a bunch of schmoes by a bunch of points and then try to preen around like you're the kings of college football, when you say you dominate top 25 teams and you really have dominated Nebraska and Coastal Carolina 4 years ago when you were at James Madison, then you go out in the college football playoff and it's just apparent that you don't belong, that your team isn't on Notre Dame's level, and you bow out meekly, not even going for it on fourth down a couple of scores in a key moment of the game. To me, that's just, it's weak. And I don't know what their future is at Indiana, but not a great end to a great season for Curt Cignetti.
Well, his future is that he got an $8 million contract, 8-year, $72 million contract extension before the Ohio State game. So he's already got his gift. He can stay on the naughty list for now until they learn not to punt down 20-3. I think it's only fair that I stay in New York sports here because it's been an abject failure for both teams this year. Woody Johnson's second on my naughty list because of the Athletic article, the explosive allegations about how he used Madden ratings to determine whether a player should be on the Jets or not. We heard Aaron Rodgers talk about potentially wanting to be released and being okay with it, and that it would be a teenager doing it. I don't know if he was necessarily referring to Woody Johnson's two sons, but rather Woody Johnson himself, considering that was the reputation that at least apparently people Joe Douglas talked to felt that Joe Douglas had to report to. Okay, let's end on a positive note here. The nice list, people who are getting the expensive gifts, maybe a car, maybe a new house. I don't know. I'm thinking of athletes. So, like, you've got to up the ante. You can't just be like, here's a $25 gift card to Chipotle.
It's the thought that counts, Courtney.
I mean, all gifts are accepted, but if you're a multi-millionaire athlete, up the ante here a little bit. Dream big, Aaron.
I'm going to have my 6-year-old daughter, Stella, make a beautiful card. She's a good artist for 6. For Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know if you've checked the NBA standings recently, Courtney. The Cavs are 26-4, so maybe it's time a couple of you out there actually start paying attention to the year they're having. And I think really the driving force behind this is that Mobley is taking the leap. He's going from a really good defensive player and a solid contributor to an NBA All-Star. I expect him to make the All-Star team this year. And if you don't know his name, you better learn his name, because I think he could be a big factor in the NBA playoffs this year in deciding who wins the championship, not just this year, but over the next couple of years. A beautiful card coming for the young power forward for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Evan Mobley.
I like that one. I mean, gosh, they had got off to a historic start. What did the win streak end at? Was it 16 straight? 15 straight?
I mean,
it's incredible.
One of the best win streaks to start a season, and this is one of their best starts in franchise history. And, oh, by the way, the Cavs still have a basketball team, even though LeBron James doesn't play for them. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'll stay in the NBA, too. I'm actually going to go with the Boston Celtics. I'll stay in the Eastern Conference because how seriously they take the regular season, how well they've shot the 3 ball, how deep that lineup is despite some injuries here and there, and how well Jason Tatum is playing. Everybody had them as their preseason pick to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. I think that sticks. Now, obviously, there's teams like Cleveland that can threaten for that, especially in the second half of the season, but they've been impressive to watch, coming off of if you want to even call it, an Olympic snub for both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Even though Tatum was on that team, he just didn't play. I'm really impressed with how well they've started out the 2024-25 season, holding the Knicks at bay. Certainly, they don't have to do much to do that with the 76ers, but they've been fun to watch, and we will continue as we get into NBA Christmas Day to talk about some of the big matchups that are gracing our televisions, as they do every year on Christmas on Wednesday. It's on Sportsmanlike, on ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app. Straight ahead. What are we doing straight ahead? How about we talk about the Green Bay Packers? The fact of the matter is, 5 out of the last 6 years, this team has made the postseason. How did they do it again? We discuss next on Sportsmanlike ESPN Radio.
The NBA on Christmas Day on ESPN Radio. Tip-off of the Spurs and Knicks is at noon Eastern. Followed by the Timberwolves and Mavericks.
Christmas gets away. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
A Christmas Day doubleheader on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
It's the season of giving with the City of Urbana. The Urbana Arts and Culture program with local artist Leslie Kimball has decorated so many windows in downtown Urbana as you take in lunch and dinner specials featuring Urbana's restaurants offering flavors from around the world. Hashtag We Love Urbana and shop locally owned art galleries. Various businesses have on display the trees and lights from places around the world. Learn more all on social media with the City of Urbana.
Pia's 1609 West Springfield Avenue in Champaign. Enjoy drink specials from Coors and Miller Lite, Twisted Tea, Captain Morgan, and Bullet Rye Bourbon. As we say, go Illini. Great drink specials, terrific pub food like the Slugger Burger, chicken fingers, loaded nachos, and fish on Fridays. Pia's will have a fan bus to watch the Illini. It leaves a half hour before tip-off as you head to the State Farm Center, get dropped off and picked up in the Front Circle Drive off 1st Street. Pia's 1609 West Springfield Avenue in Champaign.
I've got to clean out this garage. Let's see. What's the cheapest and easiest dumpster service in our area?
Here's what I found. The doggy bag.
Think she's broken. I'm not looking for takeout. Siri, try again.
The doggy bag from Bulldog Disposal in Mahomet.
Doggy bag? What's that?
If you got junk that needs to go, but you don't want the hassle of having an enormous dumpster delivered, grab a doggy bag, keep it as long as you need. They'll come take it away. For more information, just visit bulldoggybag.com.
That's bulldoggybag.com.
Season's greetings. This is Janelle Adams from Prospect Bank. Sometimes the perfect gift is simply sharing a smile, and donations don't always have to be grand gestures. These small tokens show appreciation and will bring a world of happiness to a stranger. Remembering those who are less fortunate during this time of year could be the perfect encouragement needed to support your local food pantry and other civic organizations. Happy holidays from all of us at Prospect Bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Here's what new customers are saying about Interstate Batteries.
It's nice to see capable and helpful associates. They did a top-notch job.
They were easy to talk to and explained everything.
Service was prompt and I was a walk-in. Total service time was only like 20 minutes. I highly recommend Interstate Batteries.
Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable. How much is dependable worth? Experience them for the first time at 2504 North Mattis. Way out there, but worth the drive. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable.
Visit interstatebatteries.com.
The last Monday Night Football of 2024 is upon us. Jared Goff and the Lions are out for redemption as they head to San Francisco for an NFC Championship rematch.
Who had that on the bingo card? Touchdown Lions!
As Brock Purdy and the 49ers look to make a statement and take down Detroit once again.
He's gone! Touchdown 49ers!
Lions 49ers. Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ABC.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan Canty and Michelle.
Final score here in Green Bay. Packers 34, Saints nothing.
Obviously, the goal is Super Bowl, so that's the first step right there is making the playoffs. Obviously, this was a big-time game to clinch that spot, and proud of the way we came out here and handled business.
What a win for the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. First shutout of the year. Had to think about that one for a second. 34-0, the final over the Saints. They find their way into the postseason dance 5 out of the last 6 years. Matt LaFleur has a good thing going for him up in Green Bay. I mean, yes, the rest of us can't have nice things, but a team that has gone from one Hall of Fame quarterback to another Hall of Fame quarterback to somebody who's on a very good trajectory himself in Jordan Love. Can't relate. Don't know what that's like.
Great. Excited for you, Packer fans. You know, that's interesting to me. Michelle Smallman of this show had this decision to make as we went through the summer, where she was deciding what NFL team she was going to give the final rose to. It was the NFL Bachelor. There were a number of teams that were in consideration. I got to call out Michelle a little bit for this. Like, you want to go to a team, you can't go to the Chiefs. I mean, obviously, that's like, the lowest hanging fruit possible. But to pick a team that's had 3 straight decades of great quarterback play, like, oh, wow. Does she even watch that game last night and celebrate? Is she allowed to? She's gone through so many tough times, Courtney, as a Packer fan, in her 4 months of being with the Green Bay Packers.
I mean, she's from St. Louis. Like, she lost her NFL team, so I absolutely understand why she had to pick another one. I'm a little surprised that she waited until this season to do it, because the Rams left there, nearly 8-9 years ago at this point. But it's okay. We're not gonna slander our girl Michelle Smallman. I'm happy for you, Michelle. I hope that you're enjoying Christmas break.
Pick a team that's on the come up, but don't pick a team.
She almost picked the Jets. If you remember correctly, that was one of the final helmets that was left on the table, and the Bears were there too. I'm happy that she picked a winner. She may have lucked into it, as most Packers fans who have recently jumped on the bandwagon have, but it's
Aaron's right. You as a fan, you're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to go through that.
That's what makes
you have to
the
earn
winning
it.
Sweet. Yeah,
correct.
So you expected her to pick a bunch of
for
losers?
10 years? Well, no, I didn't ask her to pick the worst team in the league. I didn't want her to pick the Carolina Panthers. They weren't on the bingo card. Nobody's a fan. They have 10 people who are fans of them. Whatever. But to pick the Packers, the team of Brett Favre, then Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love, knowing that they had made the playoffs for the last 5 years, I don't know. To me, it just, the other thing is, I heard, and I don't want to cast any aspersions here, in that decision, and Nuno, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe there was some merchandise sent. I believe that there was some ESPN Milwaukee gear from our affiliate in Milwaukee that was sent directly to her. I believe there was some also
she got to go to a
Madison
Packers game early on in the year.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of
out for that.
There was a lot of cheese involved. Yeah, literally the way this was going, I thought I was under the impression that she was going to pick Chicago. Literally.
It was one of the final teams.
No, literally as the team. I thought she was going to pick the Bears. The night before, even that morning of that show, I thought she was picking the Bears, and then all of a sudden, somehow, some way, she changed her mind.
Sure.
Like our friends at ESPN Wisconsin.
She went with the proven product. Can you blame her?
I heard a rumor. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard Wilde and Tausch from ESPN Wisconsin slipped her a little envelope of cheese and cash under the table. Beer, cheese, and cash.
I mean,
to get her to pick
if
the
that's
Packers.
what it takes to be bought, I can be bought too. I mean,
Seriously.
I'm not a fan of anything right now because I cover the NFL, but beer, cheese, and cash. I mean, I can find 3 worse things that somebody could give me to
sign me
sucker
up for
me
that.
into doing something else. It's Unsportsmanlike, ESPN Radio and ESPNU. Courtney Cronin, Aaron Goldhammer. No Evan Canty and Michelle this week, but you've got us for the holidays. Is this Green Bay team good enough, in your opinion, to win a Super Bowl? Because right now there's 3 teams in the NFC North that are representing the NFC in the playoffs. Of course, Detroit, currently seeded as the 1, so they'd get the first round bye. Now there's injuries. They've got 2 division games to end the season, so it's definitely tough. But then there's Minnesota, and then there's Green Bay as the 7 seed. Knowing what we know about the Packers, knowing what we know about Jordan Love, and that the interceptions have not been as big of an issue recently, and that this defense is playing really darn well, too. I mean, they just pitched a shutout last night.
Yeah.
Do you think they are a legit Super Bowl contender? Let's say if it started today and they're the 6th seed, they've got to go on the road. Can they get all the way to New Orleans for the Super Bowl this year?
Okay, can they go to L.A. and beat the Rams? Yes. Do I think they're a top 5 team in the NFL? I do. I think 3 of the 5 best teams in the league, Courtney, are in the NFC North, with Packers, Lions, and obviously the Vikings as well. I think the Chiefs and the Bills. And frankly, I think those are the 5 best teams in the NFL. So just based on the fact that they're so good, I want to say yes to answer this question. However, their road would be an absolute gauntlet once they get through the LA situation. Likely, they would then have to go to either Detroit or Minnesota, and then potentially they might have to play the other NFC North team in the NFC Championship game, and that might be on the road also. Courtney, I just think in this day and age where someone's going to get a bye through that first round, I think asking them to go all the way to the Super Bowl is too much to ask. I think they're a really, really, really good team that's going to get a bad draw because of the way the bracket sets up, and I think that's what's going to stand in their way of representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
They wouldn't be my favorite out of the NFC North. They really wouldn't, because I think that I respect what the Lions are doing. I think the injuries will be too much when it's all said and done. For me, it goes Minnesota, Detroit, and then the Green Bay Packers.
Minnesota is the favorite.
Well, look at the Lions right now. I know what they just did in Chicago. I saw it. They beat them by 17. They're running trick plays when they're up 13. That's impressive. Don't get me wrong, but I do think that the injuries on the defensive side of the ball, when you do face quarterbacks, potentially like a Matthew Stafford or Jalen Hurts in that offense, or
the elite
Sam
quarterbacks
Darnold
in the NFC,
again,
like Sam Darnold.
It's a wild time to be talking about that, but it is a fear based on attrition, more or less. But I look at this Green Bay team. I look at the roster. I look at how young they are, how inexperienced they are to a degree. Yeah. But I also rely on what happened last year. This is a team that made it to the divisional round of the playoffs. Had it not been for a Jordan Love, Brett Favre sort of throw across his body, maybe they're in the NFC Championship.
They were right there. They beat the Niners.
They are so good year in and year out. Matt LaFleur, I know he's probably not the favorite right now to win Coach of the Year. That's probably Kevin O'Connell. Again, another NFC North honor that's going to coach. Honor that's going to an NFC North coach.
Right.
But my goodness, 11-4 right now. Everything that we know about this Packers team, everything that they had to overcome from the early Jordan Love injury. They were playing Malik Willis for a couple weeks. Remember that?
And they
Remember
were
the time
still
we were talking about
winning
trading for another quarterback? And look at where they are right now. They have 2 games remaining. Vikings this weekend on the road, and they close out the season at home against the Chicago Bears. All right, straight ahead. Where does Jordan Love rank in the NFC playoffs quarterbacks? We'll get into that next on Sportsmanlike.
Hey, fans! Welcome back to Fansville's Cheers and Tears. Oh. Okay, so everybody deals with losing, right? To a rival on a last-second field goal. Whatever, it's fine. I'm totally fine. But I cope with losing with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Those 23 flavors are so delicious. They totally wash away the pain of your college football team taking a big fat L. College football, it's a pepper thing.
Adam Schefter here with Vivid Seats. We've got some late-breaking news coming out of the stands. According to multiple sources, Vivid Seats fans are scoring rewards on every purchase and at a rapid pace. Obviously, these rewards are a game changer, and coupled with their MVP-worthy ticket selection, why get tickets anywhere else? Don't drop the ball this season. Shop with Vivid Seats and earn rewards on every ticket. And as the official ticketing partner of ESPN, Vivid Seats is offering you $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase with code Schefter. That's code Schefter.
Would you like to participate in a study from the University of Illinois? Support comes from the HIT to Sit Less study at the University of Illinois, seeking healthy participants like you between ages 40 and 75 for a study investigating sitting and vigorous exercise. Details at go.illinois.edu/sitless or call 217-333-0581. That's 217-333-0581.
Take charge of the years ahead with a smart, sound investment strategy and business succession plan. Busey Bank's business and wealth management experts help you envision your best future with powerful insights and proven strategies. Building business and growing wealth since 1868. Busey Bank, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
On the first Christmas, baby Jesus was born in a stable because God loves each of us. This Christmas, how can we show God we love Him too? Jesus said we can show our love for God by loving our neighbor. Let's make God happy this Christmas.
This is Jim Manley. Throughout this year that's been tough for so many, Empty Tomb Inc. has worked with church people to show their love for God through practical works done in Jesus' name. Clothes, food, furniture, and financial help are shared at our local neighbors' points of need. In addition, Research and Mission Match encourage churches to help our neighbors globally too. Your gift to Empty Tomb now will help people in our local area at their points of need all through the new year. Please send your check to Empty Tomb in Champaign, Illinois, or go to emptytomb.org to donate. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, baby Jesus.
And Merry Christmas to you too.
FX's Say Nothing.
We thought joining the IRA was the noblest thing a person could do.
Northern Ireland, 1971.
They could beat us, they could shoot us, but the one thing they could never get us to do
Who's talk? Based on the true story and the New York Times bestseller.
You were taught that you were fighting in the name of the people. And I think people should know that it's all lies.
FX's Say Nothing. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
Lowe's knows how to help you save time and money, no matter the job. That's why we can deliver supplies to your job site as soon as same day, so you have more time to get the job done. Because when you need it fast, we've got you covered. Lowe's knows pros. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
This is Unsportsmanlike with Evan, Chris, and Michelle on ESPN Radio.
It's the holiday week, so no Evan, no Canty, no Michelle. You've got Courtney Cronin, Aaron Goldhammer with you on Unsportsmanlike, ESPN Radio and ESPNU. The show, as always, presented by Progressive Insurance. So in about 6-7 minutes, I want to know from you, the fan, when is it okay to cheer for your team to lose? Get on hold right now. The phones are open on the Dr. Pepper call-in line, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. This all stems from a pretty passionate exchange from Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce talking about draft positioning and that it really doesn't mean anything to him because, well, frankly, it shouldn't. But I do want to talk about winning first and foremost, because that is what we're seeing right now with the Green Bay Packers. And if you look at the NFC playoff picture, which I've got the playoff machine from ESPN.com bookmarked, is my favorite thing to do, Aaron, at this time of year, just play around with matchups. And of course, since all the divisions are up for grabs going into week 17, I've been tinkering with this.
Right.
But
who's going to win this game or that game, and then it tells you who makes the playoffs based on those scenarios.
So right now, if you're looking at you've got two rookie quarterbacks representing teams in the NFC in the postseason. It's Michael Penix Jr., the 4 seed right now in Atlanta, and then, of course, Jaden Daniels and what he's done for Washington. And then the veterans, whether Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, Sam Darnold, and Jordan Love. Since we've been on the topic of the Green Bay Packers this morning, where does Love fit into that mix? Because last year, his first year as a starter, the experience he didn't have, and then getting to the divisional playoffs.
Right.
I thought outside of one throw that he made in San Francisco, he played some of the best quarterback play of any team in the postseason.
Just ask Dallas how they like Jordan Love in the playoffs,
but
right?
when you look at this list that I just read off to you, I have a hard time even saying, hey, Jaden Daniels doesn't have the experience. The guy just threw 5 touchdown passes. First Washington quarterback to have done that since Mark Rippon won a Lombardi trophy for them back in the early 90s. I have a hard time thinking that one of these rookies, or at least one rookie right there, the offensive rookie of the year for all intents and purposes, can't do those things. Where do you put Jordan Love? Where does he stack up in that mix?
Okay, he's ahead of Jaden Daniels in my mind, in part because he's a rookie and because of the lack of experience. Okay, so yes, he's played great at times this year. He's also struggled at times this year, and I would put Jordan Love ahead of him. I'd also put him over Sam Darnold. I have trouble getting Jets Sam Darnold and Carolina Sam Darnold out of my head when I watch him. I know he's having a fabulous year. The Vikings are 13-2. I'd rather have Jordan Love than Sam Darnold. You definitely put him over whoever Atlanta's playing a quarterback, whether it's Michael Penix or if they were to go back to Kirk Cousins at some point. Okay. I would rather have Matthew Stafford in a playoff game than Jordan Love if I'm just going quarterback side by side. I don't think Stafford is washed up. He's a Super Bowl quarterback. He's made huge throws in big games. I just have a little bit trust and more confidence there. The Jalen Hurts thing, I think, is about tied to me. Yes, Hurts has led a team to a Super Bowl appearance before, but I know he's also capable of playing a terrible game and costing his team. So I think he's about tied there. And the quarterback probably that I'd want in the NFC more than anybody is the guy who's got the number 1 seed right now. Jared Goff's taken a team to a Super Bowl before. I trust him as a big game QB. I think he's proven to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's the best QB in the NFC. So I have Love tied for second amongst these NFC QBs. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. And I think it's based on, even though it is limited experience, it's, almost 2 full years of being a starter. It's enough experience to say we've seen him do it. We've also seen a little bit of the regression. I guess you could call it year 2 regression because it is his second year as a starter, with some of the interceptions, the consecutive games that he had turning the ball over, and him bucking that trend now going into the stretch of the season. Jared Goff is the hardest one to not pick. I don't understand how anybody, I get Matthew Stafford. That team came on at the right time because they got healthy at the right time.
Yeah.
Goff has been tremendous, even on a loss to the Buffalo Bills. He threw 5 touchdowns. He's second in passing yards, third in touchdown percentage, doesn't turn the ball over all that often with a 33-10 touchdown.
Even when he throws 5 picks, somehow they still win.
Somehow won that game against Houston. So
right.
If I'm looking at strictly quarterback play, I think Goff is the easy answer there. Of course, the Detroit Lions are dealing with a lot of attrition in their own right. 21 players currently on injured reserve. We'll see if his quarterback play will be enough for them to overcome that. But it's an interesting conversation because we so often talk about how top heavy everything is in the AFC with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, really leading the pack there. And I mean, Joe Burrow would be in there, might be in there if they can somehow Cincinnati can somehow back their way into a postseason spot. But the NFC's got some pretty good representation too, as evidenced by this list. It's on Sportsmanlike, ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app. Okay. So Antonio Pierce, we go from talking about winning to losing, and losing in pretty stark fashion this year. The Las Vegas Raiders have been eliminated from postseason contention for a couple of weeks now, and they won a game. Maybe the game that they should not have won in the eyes of some fans when they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 16. Aiden O'Connell comes alive and has the best drive of his season to date. So, of course, draft positioning, where they were, where they are now, within the top 5. It looks like it's going to be the New York Giants drafting Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, number 1 overall, and then the Patriots, the Raiders followed in the mix there as well. But it was a question that was posed of Antonio Pierce, Raiders head coach, about winning a game that some fans, because of what happens next year, may not have wanted the Raiders to do. Take a listen to this. It's a pretty heated exchange from the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
We don't do this to lose. We don't do this for anybody's fantasy football team. We don't do this for anybody's drafts, projections. None of that matters to us. Only thing that matters is winning. And that's all we want to do.
A lot of times you get coach speak up there. That was the antithesis of that. I believed every word he said because it's not like he's going in every single week thinking, how can I throw this game? How can I not have my guys prepared? How can I have a team that can't hang with their opponent? This doesn't, for a coach who doesn't have necessarily the job security next year, at least right now, we don't know what Mark Davis is going to do. They just fired their front office last year, brought in Tom Telesco as their general manager.
Right.
I don't believe that they would clean house there. But with this coaching staff, a coach that was given a contract last year after taking over on an interim basis, there's no security there. So I'm not surprised that he's looking at this saying, no, of course we're trying to win these games. For him personally, his job is hanging in the balance, whether he wins or loses, and the type of effort his team shows up with these final couple weeks.
I'm not telling Antonio Pierce to tell Aiden O'Connell to start taking a knee or throwing an interception, okay? But you can't tell me that, not just the fans, you can't tell me that Mark Davis wasn't watching that game thinking about Shedeur Sanders swirling and then going down the drain for the Las Vegas Raiders, right? I mean, that's part of the calculus, and this happens now in all sports. Do baseball teams lose on purpose like the players say, oh, I want to lose today? No.
They just will rest guys or not play guys in certain circumstances to not feel the best team.
And, I might have tried. It's funny. We got O'Connell playing. I might give Desmond Ridder this series. You know what I mean? There's things that you can do that aren't, okay, stop trying. That's actually dangerous to do on an NFL field. You get guys hurt if you don't have people playing at 100%. I understand all of that, okay? And look, I've never been on an NFL field as a player, so the amount of work that goes into it, what you put into it. One of the reasons Antonio Pierce is saying what he's saying is I think Antonio Pierce thinks what we all think, which is that they're making a coaching change at the end. So he doesn't care whether they end up with Shedeur Sanders or the best left tackle in the draft at number 6. It's the fans and ownership in the front office that are going to be left holding the bag regardless of what pick they get. And I do think it's important to the future of the Raiders. It would have put them in a better spot for their future. I would like the hope moving forward if they'd actually lost that game. I completely understand where their fans were coming from on that.
Have you ever cheered for your team to lose?
Yes.
Who was it? Was it the Browns when they had a 16-game losing streak?
Yes.
What were you cheering for?
First of all, I thought that the way that team had been run, that they had earned the indignity of going 0-16, and that they earned the historical implications, the smear, the red mark that will always have on their record. So that's part of it. And I also wanted to make sure that if they wanted a quarterback, I don't know, there was a Lamar Jackson guy and a Mahomes guy in that draft. They could have picked one of them. Instead they traded down and took Jabril Peppers or something in addition to getting Myles Garrett. But that team I absolutely thought earned 0-16. I thought they deserved it. Also, a basketball team at the end of a lost 82-game season for lotto balls, another ping pong ball in the hopper, definitely is something that came out of my mouth a time or two in between the two LeBron years in Cleveland. And ultimately, those ping pong balls led to Kyrie Irving, Andrew Wiggins, Kevin Love, and the supporting cast of a championship team. Part of that is just how you win in sports.
Yeah, and I mean, that's assuming when in a losing season, multiple losing seasons like what you were alluding to, is that your front office is going to be able to strike big on the players that they bring in. I mean, if the front office is on its way out and a new one comes in and they've got different strategies than maybe their predecessors did, who knows how that works out. I'll never fault fans for not having the same priority as a coaching staff.
Sure.
I have seen this up close because I've covered a lot of really bad teams in the NFL. I have. And whether it was the Minnesota Vikings in 2021 and Mike Zimmer doing his damnness to win a game at the end of the year and not playing Kellen Mond, the quarterback who they had just drafted, because he knew he didn't need to see him, because he knew he was probably on the way out and he was going to try to do things his way one final time before he was out of a job. Even yesterday, Thomas Brown, the interim head coach of the Chicago Bears, was asked about playing first and second year guys in these final two games to get a good evaluation on the players that could be making an impact next year.
Right.
Thomas Brown, interim head coach, has no guarantee that he's going to be here next year. So when coaches are asked questions like that, I'm not surprised the passion that you get from somebody from Antonio Pierce, because them coaching for their job or another opportunity elsewhere means you don't go out and lay an egg in week 16, 17, 18, whatever the case may be.
Sure.
Because that's your resume. That's your body of work. The next team, the next front office, the next coaching staff can deal with picking the next players, next crop of players. It's all about the here and now, and I find it very hard to believe that will ever line up. When teams are in dire situations like that will never line up with what fans want.
Yeah, one other thing I want to say about Antonio Pierce, though, it's Antonio Pierce's job, Courtney, not to do what's best for only Antonio Pierce and his coaching record page on ProFootballReference.com, right? So when it comes to playing young guys like the situation that Thomas Brown is in, I think it's his job to do what's best for the Chicago Bears, And if that means playing some young guys late in a lost season, then I think that's what you have to do. The notion that teams are always just focused on trying to win the next game is nonsense. Mm-hmm. Early in the season, yes, when you're still in the playoff race, everybody has to be primarily focused on that. By the time you get to, 4-11, 4-12, I would be okay seeing Kellen Mond. And when you put your own priorities over that, what you want, you're actually being a bad coach and a little bit selfish in my mind.
I mean, everybody is trying to get through the rest of the season when it's that bad, but you still have to coach the games, and you can't coach to lose. Otherwise, you won't be a coach anymore, or at least one in a head coach position. All right, we've got jammed phone lines. Phil, John, Mike, Colin, Jeremy, hang on. The Dr. Pepper call-in line is open. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Your calls coming up next, plus which NFL team is in the most hopeless situation. It's on Sportsmanlike, ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Today on ESPN Daily, Greg Wyshynski and David Dennis Jr. help us relive what made 2024 a memorable year in sports. That's ESPN Daily. Follow us and listen wherever you get good podcasts.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text BIKE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text BIKE to 321-321. That's BIKE to 321-321.
Solar companies are on the rise, here today and gone tomorrow. Rector Solar and Roofing family roots back 4 generations, living and working in Central Illinois, with the goal to take the confusion out of replacing a roof or adding solar panels to your home or business. With all the incentives and rebates now available, solar is more affordable than ever. Let a knowledgeable representative take the worry and guesswork out of solar and get a free quote. Discover the Rector Factor for solar. Call 217-281-7000 or visit rectorsolar.com.
Hey, it's Greg McElroy from the Always College Football Podcast. Check out our current episode where we break down the college football playoff first-round games and set the table for the quarterfinals coming up in a few weeks. Get it anywhere you get your podcast.
The Hoop Collective Podcast.
If you're trying to win the MVP and you're not from one of the top 3 or 4 teams, you have to have a compelling set of circumstances.
The Hoop Collective Podcast. Listen on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I'm telling you, the ACC is special.
For all the traditions and new additions.
Cooper flying high.
For all the iconic.
Watch Mr. Carter. Watch the explosion.
And electric.
Hits another. Oh, my goodness.
Come for it all. ACC Men's College Basketball. All season long on ACCN.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio. 25 bowl games, including the college football playoff and national championship game.
Touchdown!
The electricity, the atmosphere.
At the 5, and into the end zone!
This is why you do what you do.
Coverage continues tonight with the Hawaii Bowl at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
It's the beauty of college football.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Good morning. Merry Christmas Eve. You're listening to Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and ESPNU. Courtney Cronin, Aaron Goldhammer holding it down all week for Evan, Canty, and Michelle. Happy you're spending part of your morning here with us. If you're out last-minute Christmas shopping, trying to get ahead of when the weather's coming in to your area.
Good
if you're
luck.
flying American Airlines today, good luck to you, too. I'm getting some texts from some people in airports right now. Holiday travel, always not a fun time, but it is fun to talk about going to sporting events. Sometimes people have alternative motives for why they're going to sporting events. I don't know if going to watch your team lose is truly enough motivation to want to go spend money and do all of that. But when we were reacting off of Antonio Pierce, Raiders head coach, his comments about coaching for right now and coaching to win games, even though they won a game that some fans might not be all that happy with because it does affect their draft positioning. Like, so from 1 to 10 right now, the draft order currently, it is the New York Giants at number 1, New England Patriots at 2, Jaguars at 3, Browns at 4, Tennessee Titans at 5. The Raiders at 6, they dropped from 4 spots from number 2 all the way down to number 6, so that takes them out of, very likely,
the quarterback
Shador
market.
Sanders,
Right.
and Cam Ward.
Yes.
So you can understand why Raiders fans might be a little pressed this morning thinking,
Yes.
oh boy, we better lose these next 2 games because our future is hanging in the balance. I was trying to wrap my brain around this. Who would be the quarterback that they would draft at 6?
At 6?
Do we have a surefire bet on that?
Jalen Milroe. I don't know how the process is going to go from here.
I thought he'd be a second-round pick, personally.
I did too, but sometimes, these guys go to the combine and they do the workouts, and all of a sudden, sometimes quarterbacks get pushed up the board. I would expect it to happen again this year. Here's the thing, though, Courtney. The notion that tanking doesn't work in sports is wrong. Courtney, how did the Cavs end up with LeBron James? They had a 17-win season with wrong rim Ricky Davis. And was it worth it? Absolutely. And were they trying to lose? Oh, my gosh, they were trying to lose. And now there's a trophy over at the stadium. There's a banner. There are banners hanging all over the country because teams decided to prioritize draft position over winning that night. Why'd the Colts get Andrew Luck? They played Kerry Collins at quarterback. They knew they were going to have a 2-win season. They got to go from Peyton Manning, who was, by the way, the number 1 overall pick, to Andrew Luck, who is the number 1 overall pick. I don't think there's any shame in fans feeling this way. I'm not asking the left tackle to miss a block on purpose, but I'm saying this is a lot of times how teams build winners. How'd the Spurs get Wembanyama? Were they trying to win every single game they played? No, they got the best, craziest, most unique unicorn of a player ever to go and watch.
Dr. Pepper call-in line is open. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. We want to hear from you, the fan. When is it okay to cheer for your team to lose? Phil's listening to us on Sirius XM in Colorado. You are on Unsportsmanlike. Where do you fall on this?
Hey, Phil.
Yeah, hey, how are you? Happy holidays. Excited to get through.
Hey, Phil.
I'm working like you all are, so, but where I fall on it is this. You can't root for your team to lose if you root for the players to be bad. The time to root for your team to lose is when your management and ownership are bad. And I'll go a step further. If it's the ownership, you don't go to the game. You root from home because you can't spend your money. It's to the point now where, basketball is a little different, but when we take football, there is no golden goose. There is no savior. If you have bad leadership and you have a bad management structure, it's not going to matter who you draft. I can't tell you how many times we've heard this is the next coming of the quarterback. They get in a bad franchise. I was born in Chicago. This happens all the time. Hey, it's the next guy. It's the next guy. What happens? The Bears ruin them. But above and beyond that, I do want to take something on the Antonio Pierce take. Antonio Pierce, if you followed him his whole career, is a guy that doesn't know anything but maximum effort. He's passionate. He cares. He took a job with the Raiders, and what did that management do? They sold off his team. We didn't draft a quarterback. They got rid of a lot of his skilled players, and they set him up for a position to fail, and his team still goes out and plays every day. That's a good leader with a bad management structure. That's all I got. I appreciate you. Thanks for making my day easier. Have a great day.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.
Excellent call and some really salient points there. The first thing I want to start on, I've had this thought for a long time. The only way that you get real change within the structure of an organization is to hit the owners in their pocketbook. I don't think that actually will work, though, because there will always be people who are paying to go to games. I mean, we've seen near sellout crowds at Soldier Field this year, despite the fact that the Bears, my team that I cover for ESPN.com, they're a 4-win team. Now, a lot of, last week, there was a lot of Honolulu Blue because there were a lot of Detroit Lions fans in attendance, but I love
they also
it.
started 4-2, Courtney. So there were times. I mean, for the opener against Tennessee, that was the hottest tick of the year in Chicago.
It was. But I just, as much as it makes sense, it's not realistic because there will always be some fans that financially support the team. However, though, he's right when you think about it. If you have players you root for, more times than not, they're being set up to fail, not because of a talent issue or strictly because of a talent issue, but because of how they're being managed and how they're being coached. Yeah. So you've always got to go to the highest levels of hoping, hey, this needs to change in order for this to be better. I don't know if I I don't know how realistic that is, but some really good points there. Let's go to John in Delaware, listening to us on 97.3 FM. What's up, John?
Hey, John.
Hey, how are you guys? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
The only time as a Steelers and a Lakers fan that I will ever root for my team to lose is when my parlay is about to hit.
The gambling aspect of it. So is it okay to bet against your team, Courtney?
I say yes, because and John, thanks for the call on that. That's the first time that anybody's brought that up. I think it's okay to pick against your team if you're being realistic about this. Indiana the other day, I was asked, and I wasn't betting. I was just, asked about the percentage of an upset. I'm never going to not pick my team to do something that I'm being asked about, in a good way or bad way. So I gave them a 30% chance because they were 5.5-point dogs on the road at Notre Dame.
Sure.
That's betting with my heart versus betting with logic. Logic would have told me, hey, pick Notre Dame. They're at home. The environment's going to be insane. It's cold. They have the best defense right now.
It's Hoosier football.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it's okay if you've got money on the line now, and this is a big conversation that people have around sports wagering. When's it okay for you to take your beloved and make them into your moneymaker, even if it means they have to lose? John's not the only one who feels that way. I can promise you that.
Courtney, Corn? I don't know who Corn is. Courtney, in a lost season, I think it's totally fine. When the Browns went to Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, I knew they were going to lose, and I knew they were going to get slaughtered. They always lose in Pittsburgh. So I felt like that was like planting a money tree in my backyard, and I hit up ESPN Bet and absolutely threw $10 on the game. I mean, it was $10. For me, that's a big bet, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if your team's playing in the NFC Championship game, and you bet, and you're saying either I want to go to the Super Bowl or I want to win $100. You know what I mean? Hey, this is going to be a win-win for me either way. That I think is dirty. That's being a bad fan. You can only bet against your team to lose when they're having a disastrous season and you want to cash in on their incompetence.
Yeah, I think you don't do it when the stakes are the highest. Nobody would ever pick for their team to not win a championship over let me hit my parlay. But when your team is a disaster, I can give credence to that. More calls on the way, so get on hold right now. Dr. Pepper call-in line is open, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Tomorrow, it's not just NFL. We don't just have the Chiefs, the Steelers, the Texans, and the Ravens. It's NBA on Christmas Day, the unofficial tip-off to the season. All eyeballs on the association. We dive into what's at stake for the Boston Celtics with a good friend of ours coming up next here on Sportsmanlike, ESPN Radio, and ESPNU.
Georgia versus Notre Dame.
There's a different feel to the playoff.
Boise State versus Penn State.
There's an intensity that gets ratcheted up.
Oregon versus Ohio State.
The stakes get much higher.
Arizona State versus Texas.
The magic continues.
The College Football Playoff Quarterfinals. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is Circus Sports Illinois. Circus Sports, it's betting the way it should be. Circus Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circus Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com.
Must be 21 or older. For Illinois Problem Gambling Services, please call 1-877-968-7848.
So when was the last time you saw a best deal guarantee?
You mean a promise that actually held up?
Right.
That some unknown online entity didn't want you to log in and download a code and then re-verify as you join some club.
Drives you nuts, I know.
And then once you purchase that set of steak knives...
Well, Dick Van Dyke Appliance World is a lot simpler. You find a verified great deal and they beat it. Just show them the deal you saw. A newspaper clipping or the online cart price will do, and then you're good.
At Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, it's one of those instances where you see a best deal guarantee and...
you get the best deal.
This is Dennis Rieken, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. Our exclusive 10-year protection plan comes free with most appliance purchases. Whether it's a GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, Bosch, or any of our 30 brands, I guarantee we will beat any competitor's deal. Wow!
Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Ever wonder why you pay your bank to have a checking account? Fisher National Bank does too. You see, they offer free rewards cashback checking that gives you cash back on debit purchases, no service fees or balance requirements. Simply make 12 debit card purchases, receive electronic statements, and have one direct deposit in a monthly cycle. It's so simple. Reward yourself today with rewards cashback checking. Learn more at any branch or FisherNational.com. Fisher National Bank. Exceptional communities, exceptional people. Member FDIC.
We expect our information in real time. US Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 888-665-0696 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check as easy as... That's 888-665-0696.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike. The NBA on Christmas Day on ESPN Radio. Tip-off with the Spurs and Knicks is at noon Eastern. Followed by the Timberwolves and Mavericks.
Christmas gift away. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
A Christmas Day doubleheader on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
It's a Christmas Day tradition every year. The NBA playing on the day Santa comes down the chimney. 5 games coming your way. Spurs, Knicks, Timberwolves, Mavericks, 76ers, Celtics, Lakers, Warriors, the nightcap, Denver Nuggets, and the Phoenix Suns. It's Unsportsmanlike, ESPN Radio and ESPNU. Courtney Cronin, Aaron Goldhammer with you on this Christmas Eve morning. This show, as always, presented by Progressive Insurance. Pleased to welcome in our good friend Drew Carter, ESPN play-by-play announcer, who's going to be on the call for this game tomorrow, the Altcast, during the Spurs-Knicks game, which tips off noon Eastern time. Like, you are the perfect person for this. I know this is not your first rodeo. You did the Jags game a couple years ago when it was the Toy Story altcast, which was absolutely incredible. One of my favorite NFL games I remember watching. How is this one different, and how do you expect the animation part of Dunk the Halls to come to life?
Well, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. Happy Christmas Eve. Courtney, that's really kind of you to say about a Jags-Falcons game that it's one of your favorite games to watch all time. I think that's probably the first time anyone has ever said that about a game featuring those two teams. But that's kind of the point, right, is we're trying to give fans a different way to consume their favorite product, and that's twofold. It's if your favorite thing is the sport, whether it's hockey, football, or now basketball. Those are the three sports we've done now. Or if it's Toy Story, The Simpsons, Big City Greens, or now Mickey and Friends with, the Spectacular Six, Mickey and Minnie and Goofy and Donald and the crew, then you have something for you. So, for people who don't know, it's tomorrow on ESPN2 at noon, Spurs-Knicks. All the players are animated live. So you're going to have Karl Anthony Towns and Victor Wembanyama and everybody looking like their own personal cartoon. And the way this one's different from football and hockey is the guys aren't wearing helmets, so that you have to animate their faces, and all the players had to sign off on it, and they did. And then we have some surprises as well. Maybe Mickey will be in the game, and maybe Mickey will throw down a dunk, unless he's playing for Chris Paul, because I'm not sure Chris Paul dunks anymore. But then he'll have some cool assists or something.
Of all of Mickey and his friends, Goofy's the tallest. Who do you think, though, is the best basketball player?
Goofy's size is a big factor, Goldie. It's a big factor. And
sure,
on the pick and pop, he appears to have a nice touch. Goofy, filling in for Karl Anthony Towns, I think makes a lot of sense here because he's got a pretty versatile, well-rounded game. Now, Goofy, if you watch a lot of those cartoons, isn't always making the most cerebral decisions, if you will. He's a little impulsive. And based on Karl Anthony Towns' history, especially in the playoffs, I think that's also a good fit. So, I think Goofy's game models Cat, and that's pretty impressive. Don't really know what we're going to see from the other characters, but I know Daisy Duck is going to be our sideline reporter, and she's been working really hard at that, and she's going to do a great job.
That's what I wanted to ask you. We're talking with Drew Carter, ESPN play-by-play announcer, who will be on the call for Spurs-Knicks tomorrow. It's the Altcast, Dunk the Halls. Are you going as you? Are you and Monica McNutt, who's going to be the analyst on this game? I thought you guys would be Mickey and Minnie. Am I wrong on that?
You are wrong, Courtney, although I did go to Epcot yesterday because we were in Orlando.
I saw that on your Instagram. That's what I thought.
Yeah. And I tried to convince Brian Scalabrine, my broadcast partner, to wear Mickey ears on camera, preferably one with the Santa hat, to be as festive as possible, and he wasn't about that. So, no, we are not Mickey and Minnie. We're ourselves. We're the announcers in this world. So the whole idea behind Dunk the Halls is Mickey Mouse writes a letter to Santa, and his only wish this Christmas is for the NBA to play a game on Main Street in Disney World. And, of course, it's Christmas, and it's Santa, and Mickey's on the nice list, so he gets his wish. So there's a whole NBA game, and it's like it's a real NBA game with real players and real teams and a real court and a real broadcast. So that's where we come in. And my cartoon looks like my guy from Andy's room in Toy Story. So I don't know if Toy Story and Mickey and Friends are in the same multiverse. That's how our parent company likes to operate, is with the multiverse and different universes and alternate timelines.
Sure.
So somehow my guy was transported from Andy's room to Main Street.
Interesting.
This is like a weird collision of worlds, but also fascinating and awesome. Dunk the Halls on ESPN2. I know my kids are going to be watching at noon Eastern time tomorrow on Christmas Day between the Knicks and the Spurs. Shout out to Scal for refusing to wear the Mickey ears because that terrible move was one of many terrible moves for the Celtics last night, falling to 22-7 as they lose to the zombie.
Here we go.
As they lose
go
to the
ahead,
zombie
gloat
Orlando
about your
Magic.
regular season, Hammer.
Gloat.
Yeah,
So of all the teams in the East, Cavs have a 3.5 game lead on the Celtics. If you didn't know, in the Eastern Conference standings, 26-4 on pace for 71 wins. Who do the Celtics fear the the most of anybody in the East, do you think, Drew?
Wait, hang on. Sorry about the background noise, Courtney. That's actually what you hear is the parade the Cavs are throwing for their 3-game lead in the Eastern Conference
3.5
before the calendar even flips. So, yeah, 3.5. Congratulations on that. In all seriousness, I would say it's Cleveland right now. I mean, they've played 2 games this year. Both teams were missing guys in each game, and the home team won. And I think it's going to be a fun series if it comes to that. The problem for the Cavs is, as great as Garland and Mitchell are, they're just small. And the Celtics backcourt, and certainly their wings with Holiday and White in the backcourt and Tatum and Brown on the wing, I think might have too much size for them. But with that being said, it's been an amazing season for Cleveland. Kenny Atkins is doing a great job. Donovan Mitchell should be in the MVP conversation. Darius Garland has rebounded from a bad season. Like, they are great. But the 3.5-game lead in the Eastern Conference, you know, I hope that you, Hammer, and the Cavs as a team do enjoy that banner you get to hang for leading the league when the calendar flips.
Since you guys are talking about your teams, Drew Carter joining us here, ESPN play-by-play announcer for Dunk the Halls tomorrow, Spurs and Knicks. He also is the play-by-play announcer for NBC Sports Boston for the Boston Celtics. You've talked Celtics, we've talked Cavs. How about my Bulls the other night? And I'm not even going to talk about the bad basketball that's being played in Chicago. Frankly, I can't even watch it because it's not on TV here locally. But Jason Tatum, in that historic triple-double performance that was the third of his career, 43, 16, and 10, what are we seeing from him in the first 2 months of the season? I know it's kind of a loaded question because we've seen MVP-level performances from him before. To do it this early in the season, to know how to sustain it, what impresses you the most about the 26-year-old at this point of December?
Well, I like what you said, Courtney, at the end about how he's still 26. People forget that. Typically, NBA players peak in their late 20s, and so Jason Tatum is getting there, and I do think he's getting better every season. And what's been most impressive this year is the way he controls a game. You look at that Chicago game, he didn't even play 36 minutes, and he had those numbers you mentioned, which is, you know, it's the 12th time in NBA history someone's put up that stat line. He did it in the fewest minutes. He had his fingerprints all over every aspect of that game, and I think that's so different from the Jason Tatum we saw when he first came into the NBA. He's always been good. Like, he came into the league and he was the number 3 pick, and it was pretty evident right away, I think, that he was going to be the best player from that draft and he could score a lot of points right away. But the way his game has evolved is he's adding different elements. I mean, he's doing things right now in terms of points, rebounds, and assists that only Larry Bird and John Havlicek have done in Celtics history. And there's a lot of Celtics history. So that's been the most impressive thing. You know, there's still times where he'll take a shot that leaves you scratching your head, but that happens less and less as he gets older. And his leadership has also taken a step up because after they lost Marcus Smart or traded him away to make the roster better by getting Kristaps Porzingis, I think there was going to be a void of leadership if Tatum and Brown didn't really step up because those two guys, when they were younger, were just quieter, which is normal. But they've had to be a little more vocal. And so Jason Tatum has really stepped up in pretty much every aspect of his game. He's not going to win MVP. It's not going to happen. His stats aren't going to be quite as good as certainly Jokic or even SGA and Luka and Giannis, but they're going to win a lot of games. And Jason Tatum's the biggest reason why. I mean, last night we're in Orlando, and of course Hammer loves to bring that up, but the Celtics lost the game, and being without Jason Tatum, to me, was the number one reason why. Now, I'm not complaining. The Magic were missing their three of their top 4 players. Yeah. But without Jason Tatum, like, it does get stagnant sometimes. And when a team like Orlando is super physical with you, especially on the perimeter, you need a steadying force. And that's what Jason Tatum is now. He's proven that he can be the best player on a championship team and a steadying force for this group.
The animated version of Drew Carter will be on the call. Dunk the Halls tomorrow noon, ESPN2. Please let the characters know this. Big Mickey fan. Love Goofy the most. Pluto's the coolest dog in the world. I hear this about their games, and tell me if you... Donald is a bit of a spoiled brat, and I think he's a bit of a ball hog. So, Drew, I don't want you and Monica to hold back at all. If there is any, I don't know, bad attitude, I think he's tough to coach. I just think he's a little bit of a problem. And I would think about maybe putting him, depending on how tomorrow goes, on the trade block if I was the general manager of the Mickey and Friends team.
This is why you're the best, Hammer. I mean, you are dropping hot takes about a game that hasn't even happened yet and about an animated character who's never played basketball, as far as I can tell, and you're already trying to trade him. That's impressive. We won't hold back. I'm inspired by you. We'll keep the integrity. We also won't hold back on the officials because we have gingerbread people blowing the whistle. So if they mess up a call, we will let you know about it. We'll be honest with the viewers. We'll be nice as we can, but we will be honest.
Adam Silver has given you carte blanche to go after the refs and Donald Duck for Dunk the Halls tomorrow at noon on Christmas Day.
You also have an alternative motive here because if Donald Duck is good, you know that he's going to be demanding he gets traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers next. So, I mean, there's definitely some underlying themes here. Drew, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and your family. We look forward to watching you on the Altcast tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Merry Christmas to you.
That's Drew Carter, ESPN play-by-play announcer on the call for Spurs Knicks, part of Dunk the Halls right here on ESPN. All right, straight ahead. Samurai swords in a potato bath. How about that for a tease? That's coming up next here on Unsportsmanlike after Aaron has this from Vivid Seats.
Thank you, Courtney. Vivid Seats is your ultimate football destination for all gridiron action with a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets. They make it super easy. Every fan to watch their favorite team, players in action, see every tackle, every toe drag catch, every touchdown live in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by 100% buyer guarantee, giving you total peace of mind with every purchase. Do not miss out. Visit vividseats.com. Download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio. 25 bowl games, including the college football playoff and national championship game.
The electricity, the atmosphere.
Coverage continues tonight with the Hawaii Bowl at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. Amber and Ian.
Dan Lanning, head coach of the Ducks, here with us on ESPN Radio. Oregon is undefeated. They're number one, yet they get the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee. People are saying that that's a flaw in this system. How do you feel?
What an opportunity, man. We get a chance to go play some of the best teams in the nation, and it's not supposed to be easy to get to a national championship, but that's the furthest thing from my mind right now. Like, I'm focused on what's next for us.
Amber and Ian, weeknights at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Hey guys, Kevin Clark from This Is Football Podcast, Momar Productions. This week, Dan Orlovsky joins me to break down all of the Week 16 action and looking ahead to Week 17. This is Football, wherever you get your podcast.
The Hoop Collective Podcast.
If you're trying to win the MVP and you're not from one of the top 3 or 4 teams, you have to have a compelling set of circumstances.
The Hoop Collective Podcast. Listen on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts. 30 for 30 presents the New York Sack Exchange.
Flecko, Lyon, Salam, Gastineau.
If you hit a quarterback and if they got up, you didn't do your job.
They were a brotherhood.
There is no magic formula for controlling the New York Sack Exchange.
But brothers don't always play nice.
Flacco could not stand me.
I should be waiting all day for you.
Well, get down. I understand.
I don't know what you were doing. I'm still trying to forgive and forget.
Stream the New York Sack Exchange now on ESPN Plus. This is Freddie and Harry.
Jeff in Cleveland.
Man, y'all guys, man, I swear, man, it is amazing, man, how much y'all guys love and much joy y'all bring to people. Hey, Harry Douglas, you's a maniac. You said a PP man. Harry, you a fool, man. You said a PP man. Stand up. Man, y'all guys, man, I swear, y'all the best in the world.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. It's bowl season on ESPN Radio. 25 bowl games, including the college football playoff and national championship game.
Touchdown! The electricity, the atmosphere. Caught at the 5 and into the end zone!
This is why you do what you do.
Again.
Coverage continues tonight with the Hawaii Bowl at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
It's the beauty of college football.
Central Division rivals clash on ESPN Hockey Night. Dallas.
Definitely a playoff team. There's no question about it.
And its stars.
Duchesne scores!
Bellinger kept it out. Jason Robertson.
Travel to the Windy City to face Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks.
He's the heartbeat of this team. Bedard with a shot. He scores.
That's hockey. ESPN Hockey Night presented by Expedia. Stars Blackhawks at 8:30 Eastern, Sunday on ESPN.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
If you missed any of Unsportsmanlike, you are in luck. You can catch up on all 4 hours of the show with the Unsportsmanlike podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. Maybe you're listening to it today when you're on the way to go do some last-minute Christmas shopping. Hanukkah starts tomorrow as well. Are you all caught up on your shopping, or do you still have a couple people? Because
I don't want to talk about it. I don't. Why are you asking me such
I'm going to out
pressing
myself
questions?
here. I'm going to out myself here. I still have like 3 or 4 people I need to shop for in the next
Courtney,
like 4 or 5 hours.
For people that don't
I've
know,
been
Courtney is
busy.
going to go straight from this show to
I've
cover
been
the
busy.
Bears at Hallis Hall. They have availability today. You got to be breaking down every Thomas Brown press conference at this point.
Yes.
And then, but I don't know what noise just came out of my mouth, by the way. It was very weird. And then on the way back, you're going to stop by a mall somewhere and pick up gifts? You're going to buy gifts from a store? What do you think this is, 1998?
I mean, it's actually the only time I like to go to a shopping mall, which sounds weird coming out of my mouth. Shopping mall, like it's a foreign concept. Nobody goes to big box stores anymore, but it's fun during the holiday season. I mean, not fun for parking and everything else and the stress that comes along with it and traffic and weather and et cetera, but yeah, I'm that person this year. My mom's gift is sitting right over there. I won't say what it is in the event that she's listening, but got to get my dad, my brother, and my uncle a few things before our Christmas Eve dinner tonight. So wish me luck.
Good luck.
Joe Burrow doesn't need any luck in the gift department. Offensive linemen are usually the recipients of the gifts that come from quarterbacks because you protect your quarterback. The chances are you get a nice gift at Christmas time. Here is what the Cincinnati Bengals had to say about his gift of choice to his O-line.
Well, they wanted guns. And I was like, I don't know about guns, guys. And so I was in the weapon mindset, and I was like, what's a cool weapon? And samurai swords, I think, are pretty dang cool. And Nicole, she works for me, and she was able to go and find them for me. So she did a great job finding the best ones out there. So I think guys were excited about it.
That is Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback. It is Unsportsmanlike, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Courtney Cronin, Aaron Goldhammer. The part about guns had me rolling. Like I said, no guns. But he thought
Good
weapons.
call, Joe. That's right.
And then he's like, let me get them a samurai sword.
Nicole finding that, where'd she go? Like Amazon for a samurai sword? Where do you buy a
to
samurai
Japan,
sword?
where they originated? I don't know. But, like, here's my question. Like, because, you were just mentioning I'm going up to Bears availability in a little bit, and I've seen some of the gifts. Like, guys will have them delivered to the facility, whether it's bottles of wine, luggage, a lot of stuff. It comes there, so you don't have to, like, send it to everybody's house. Can you have samurai swords in a team facility? I feel like that would be along the lines of guns, of weapons, something that you cannot have inside.
Look, you're not getting
of
through
an NFL
TSA
facility.
with a samurai sword this holiday season.
Ugh.
No chance. I'd be terrified. Can I ask? So
ship them maybe.
So the 5 starting linemen. I don't know if the swing tackle, if the
You're
guy
getting
bench,
it for everybody. It's not just your starting 5. It's most teams have 9 on the active roster, 8 or 9 plus the practice squad. You're getting everybody one. You can't leave them out because one of those guys may get called up to protect you from the practice squad.
I open up this gift and I pull out a samurai sword from Joe Burrow. Like I'm talking I don't know, a long, sharp weapon of destruction. What am I supposed to do with this?
Display it somewhere?
Why would I want to do that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, like, what one does with this. I mean, I guess it's like a cool conversation piece.
I mean, I'm not nine, Courtney. Like, when I was 10, sure, I would have shown my friends my cool new samurai sword. But I'm 42 years old. Like, my wife's not letting me bring a samurai sword into the house.
What do you
She'll
think?
throw me out.
What do you think that set Joe Burrow back? We know that he got a new contract 2 years ago. Anybody have any intel on how much these things cost?
I gotta look this up. All right, a samurai sword. And I would imagine that he probably got
Getting a discount? He's got a plug for samurai swords somewhere.
Any samurai sword companies want to sponsor on Sportsmanlike here on ESPN Radio.
That was like, I don't know if you guys saw, Brock Purdy gave his it was 10 offensive linemen pickup trucks and
I did
SUVs.
see that.
I'm like, so he must have gotten a great deal off it because he's still on his $900,000 or whatever, right? Like,
that's trade. That's they. I guarantee you, he didn't spend $1.
They did a video with it too, so it's free advertising. If and when he gets a $60 million contract, maybe that perk goes away. I always thought the golf carts were really cool ones too. I would like a golf cart. I don't know if I'd ever be able to use it anywhere in the city, but that would be a fun gift. Real quick before we get out of here, please hit the sound from Thomas Hammock, the Northern Illinois coach, on what he said after winning the Idaho Potato Bowl yesterday.
You know, that was the best dump of my career, and it was French fries. It seemed like they were a little bit salty.
That is incredible. So they dumped French fries on the winner, the head coach of the Idaho Potato Bowl. Congratulations to the Northern Illinois Huskies. That is absolutely wild. Have best dump of his life. I don't have any words for that.
I will tell you that some samurai swords go for as much as $1,500.
Oh my
for the
gosh!
Sword.
No words. Athletes, they're just like us. They just have more money. All right, we got to get out of here. Greeny coming up next, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them. I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. Not available in Washington State.
FX's Say Nothing.
We thought joining the IRA was the noblest thing a person could do.
Northern Ireland, 1971.
They could beat us, they could shoot us, but the one thing they could never get us to do was talk.
Based on the true story and the New York Times bestseller.
You were taught that you were fighting in the name of the people. And I think people should know that it's all lies.
FX's Say Nothing. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
Hi, this is Troy Lands from Lands Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. With colder temperatures here, let's make sure your heating system is operating at its best. At Lands, you can join our comfort family and get exclusive savings and support to keep your heating system in tip-top shape this winter and all year round. Our plans offer tune-ups, discounts on repair, and even lifetime system enhancements. Plus, we back up our equipment with labor warranty when we install it. Find out more about our comfort family maintenance plans at landsinc.com. I'm Troy Lands, and you can count on my company because you can count on me.
Crime is happening right now in our neighborhoods and across our communities, but you can help stop it with a donation to Champaign County Crime Stoppers. Your tax-deductible donation is an investment in a safer community for your family, your business, and the future we all deserve. Crime Stoppers has been fighting crime and assisting local law enforcement for nearly 4 decades, and we are funded through the generous support of those willing to stand up against crime. Join our ranks by visiting ChampaignCountyCrimeStoppers.org and donating today.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
We expect our information in real time. US Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 888-665-0696 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check as easy as, that's 888-665-0696.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online
You're
visit.
listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.